Dzień dobry, cześć. Nazywam się Gabriela Bar i jestem odpowiedzialna za część prawną sekcji Aktualne wyzwania sztucznej inteligencji w Polskim Towarzystwie Informatycznym. Mam przyjemność przywitać Was w pierwszym z serii, mam nadzieję, webinariów poświęconych różnym aspektom sztucznej inteligencji. Będą to aspekty głównie prawne, ale też etyczne, społeczne, psychologiczne. Będą to raczej krótkie spotkania, ale mam nadzieję, że treściwe i fajne do obejrzenia, posłuchania przy porannej kawie. Dziś moją gościnią jest dr Ley Muller, którą miałam okazję poznać dzięki organizacji Women in AI. Ley pochodzi z Bostonu w USA, ale obecnie mieszka i pracuje w Norwegii. Pozwolicie zatem, że teraz I'm switching into English and I will introduce my guest. Ley is the CEO of an ethical AI governance company she founded called Values-Driven AI. She worked as the AI space for 6 years and in a variety of public and private settings. From starting the first AI team at the Norwegian Institute of Public Health to AI product management at a large tech company. Ley is also the Nordic leader for women in AI governance and research, a lead for women in AI Norway. Welcome. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much, Gabrielle. This will be really fun, I think.
Super. Let's go through some questions. Many organizations focus on complying with regulations, AI Act and other regulations, also GDPR and Data Act, etc. But in your view, is it enough? What does responsible AI require beyond formal compliance?
I'm always happy to hear when organizations are thinking about these regulations. The AI Act is still, it's a little bit new. GDPR isn't even so old, so it's great that they are thinking about the Digital Services Act and the AI Act and the GDPR. But no, I don't think those are quite enough. AI systems aren't neutral, right? They have impacts beyond what are intended. They're not just kind of blank tools. So responsible AI means explicitly holding an AI system from the development phase to the use phase, holding it to whatever standards we decide are important in kind of the community it's being used in the context it's being developed. So not just, for example, no harm, but also active care, not just no discrimination, but actively equality, for example. And I think I would rather see responsible AI operationalized very differently. I would rather see lots of different sets of values that people really stand behind than kind of one universal set of values that not everyone agrees with. So I think responsible AI also it's contextual, it can change over time, it can change by setting, and that's okay, because it shows that people are kind of engaging with what it means, with what it means that AI is being deployed in a specific setting.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you very much. When we talk about this approach to responsible AI, I also think about the over-reliance on AI. I mean, many organizations focus in business and in other organizations that on the fact that AI should be also only a support tool. And they say, okay, we don't do autonomous AI, an autonomous system. We just want support to give us some recommendations to make decisions. So they also claim that human remains in control always. But in reality, in some crucial branches, also like banking, insurance, or public services, when does it stop being real human oversight and start becoming a way to shift responsibility onto AI or this over-reliance on AI? So, I mean, what is your experience? Does it happen that, people starts to think, okay, it sounds good, this recommendation from AI. It should be justified. So I'll be just clicking yes or accept instead of think about it, instead of maybe challenge this recommendation. What is your experience and your view on that?
Yeah, it's a great idea to put these two terms up against each other, right? Decision support and then human oversight or human in the loop. I think decision support is just this unnecessarily vague term. Article 14 in the EU AI Act defines human oversight very, very clearly, right? A user needs to be very explicit about what the AI system is doing for her. Is it performing a regression analysis? Is it performing a cluster analysis to find patterns? Is it modifying what she sees or what she reads? Is it replacing some amount of text with a small amount of text? How exactly are the human decisions being supported? And what I think, obviously, the most common use case right now is generative AI. So it's large language models being used to kind of squeeze down the amount of text humans have to process. So I interpret that as what's actually happening, is that the human is seeing a smaller and a modified amount of information than before, right? An LLM provides a summary of a large document. So the human is never going to check the original text because otherwise there wouldn't be time savings. And like you mentioned, we have so much evidence now about automation bias and cognitive
Yeah.
offloading and cognitive decline that I don't think the decision support argument really holds water anymore. I think if your organization is using an AI tool and it's meant to support employees, not to automate decision making, but your KPIs include 90% adoption and 30% improvement and speed and 20% less hiring, then the org doesn't really want decision support. It wants faster decision making
Yeah.
through less information being processed. And that's fine, but that's not decision support, right? And I think it's worth recognizing that organizations are under a huge amount of pressure from their boards to use AI, to roll it out, to use it.
Mhm.
Employees are under a huge amount of pressure to show that they're using it. So people are under a lot of pressure to kind of be doing things as fast as possible, including making decisions. And if we go back to the EU AI Act's definition of human oversight, it also says that humans have to be aware of what can go wrong and what bias exists and what
Yes.
over-reliance looks like, and really be able to intervene at critical points. So I think, as with anything in the field of AI, right, being as clear as possible is crucial. So I always advise my clients to focus more on providing or demanding human oversight
Mhm.
rather than expecting or providing decision support. So I'm really focusing much more on the human oversight term and trying to get away from this kind of vague decision support. Because I think, exactly like you said, it's not. I don't really think it supports. We have a lot of evidence that's actually just kind of forcing people to go faster.
Yeah, I wonder because recently I took part in a conference when we're talking about judges support. I mean, AI that's supporting judges in courts because they are overloaded with work, and that it will be great to have such a tool. And then the big argument against this kind of tools in judiciary was that because judges have a lot of work, a lot of cases to deal with, they will be over rely on this AI recommendations. So it was a kind of a idea that it would be probably better if first the judge makes a decision, try to uh, decide what the verdict will be, explain it, I mean, give some justification to it, and then challenge it with AI assistant.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
ask AI assistant, okay, what do you think about it? Do you think that it has any weaknesses, or maybe it's good enough, it's justified enough? And I really like this idea to work with AI assistant more like this, also in my own job, just to challenge AI or let the AI challenge my own decisions. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think that's a good, rather than trying to make things faster and the same, to rather be focusing on edge cases. The US, I know in 2018, there's a really good report on the use of AI among federal organizations. This is before
Yeah.
large language models. And the department that's responsible for deciding long-term disability claims, they had been experimenting with clustering. So not a large language model, but they got so many applications, thousands of applications, and it had to go through 8 different steps of whether or not you were sick enough to actually get kind of long-term support. And what they just did was they tried to cluster applications that look similar so that they
Mhm.
could send similar applications to the same judge, and with the idea that then the decision making would be more standard.
Yeah.
And then they could also flag kind of the weird cases that looked similar to nothing. That was a way to kind of help judges like micro specialize. but also this like the leftover cluster of the weird ones then deserved extra attention. So rather than like sweeping them under the rug or thinking of them as problem cases, they could say, oh, these are really complicated, we need extra resources, we need extra people.
Yeah.
So I think not like resisting the idea that AI should just make everything go faster, and rather we need attention to things that are a bit odd, that look a bit differently, and that those. I think we're in a bit of a bad situation if we try to make everything go smooth and fast, because then we'll just get annoyed at that complexity in the world, right?
Yeah, and your answer leads me to the question that we have quite a lot of debate on biases in AI systems, and of course it is very important. But I think there's also more subtle, quieter risk that AI tools tend to standardize and simplify decisions. So it can push aside unusual or minority cases. I mean, cases in a wide meaning. Yeah, that they could be cases in the court, of course, but also other cases in public administration, and also some cases in private companies. If we talk about banks and other companies that makes decisions towards people. So, how do you think organization could recognize and manage this risk? What they can do to see these edge cases and to take care of them more carefully?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question. I'm very aware of being American in Norway, because one of the fun parts of being an immigrant is that I hear so much reactions against how American ChatGPT is, for example. And I'm glad that people are noticing, because the latest GPT model was trained with 2 billion parameters, but we clearly see English language bias, American attitude bias, kind of a general Western bias, because of where the training data came from, and where Norwegian is a minority language. And I think it's always the case with AI technologies, no matter the application. I think they're intended to find and uncover patterns or to solve problems, but not to value kind of uniqueness, unless they're explicitly programmed to kind of flag what is different. I was thinking kind of maybe like a silly example, like deep learning to diagnose COVID through chest x-rays is meant to find maybe the small signs of COVID. It's not meant to tell you whether that person has the potential to win the world record for holding their breath, but that's also a very interesting and important thing. And so it's maybe a silly example, but I think that means it's up to us and it's up to organizations to like really explicitly recognize and to want to value these edge cases or kind of complexity and difference. And I think, I mean, good organizations should know that like a team that doesn't seek out contradictions or pushback, that team will fail, right? Like homogenous teams fail because they get insulated and they get insular. So I wonder if this kind of ties into the more like we should know by now that diversity is good for everyone. But in terms of on the individual level, I've been talking more and more to students and to kind of like early career people, and I work a lot with other immigrants who immigrated to Norway, and I'm telling them, I hope I'm right, that this homogenization that we see with large language models, I think this means that in the long run, maybe in the short run, I think their like unique voice, I think, will be important, because most people who use LLMs are using them to kind of get to be a little bit more similar. So I'm trying to argue that I think, students, their creativity and being able to articulate values that are maybe different than other people, I think this will be good. I think that it'll be good to be able to stand out like this, because we're just surrounded by this homogenization. But I think an organization has to, the more diverse an organization is, the better probably able they'll be to be able to value this. So I wonder if this is just part of a larger conversation about being willing to resist the idea of homogenization.
Yeah, it makes me think about the explainability, and in explainability, it's very important when the AI system communicate when the case is unusual and when there is probably not enough data about that unique case, or maybe the decision will be completely different than in other cases because of some feature of the person in this case, or the situation of this person, etc., etc. So I think this, let's say, edge decisions have to be also taken care of in the context of explainability. Of course, it could be it should be some kind of systemic solution, but at the end, AI system should also communicate that, okay, this is outstanding case. I don't know maybe what to do with this case, or maybe my decision or my recommendation is not good enough. And this is kind of signal to the humans. You should check it properly because this is something unique, and probably could help also to address these issues. Yeah.
Definitely. And I think if we go back to this responsible AI idea, a value of kind of humility or uncertainty or curiosity, those I think are human values that we need to apply and that we need to demand. And if we don't do that, then I think we're going to get these universal tools that kind of tell us they can do everything no matter what. So I think we really have to be strict about not strict, but really assert what we want and including, for example, that we have to engage with what is confusing, and that's fine. That's just that's life. That's great. Things are not all the same.
Sure. Okay, so last question. If you had to advise an organization, no matter if it will be public or private, on one crucial question they should always ask AI vendors before adopting an AI system, what would it be and why?
One question when evaluating a vendor, I would ask, show me whose perspectives were included and how. And that could be who was on the design team, that could be who conducted adversarial testing, that could be who was the one who pitched this to customers and got feedback, who led it. And that kind of goes back to the idea of actively not wanting things to be homogenous. And this duplicity or this multiplicity, not duplicity, but multiplicity of values in how we define responsible AI. So that's the question I would ask. And it could be, did you talk to labor unions? Did you talk to blah, blah, blah? Did you have development teams that were diverse? Yeah, that's what I would ask. Show me whose perspectives were included in this process.
Yeah, I think it's a very important question. And it's kind of surprising that you said that, because I've never heard that anybody advise like this in the process of choosing AI vendors. But personally, I think it's very important. Probably there are also many other questions we could ask, but I think this is the one of the core ones. So yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So it was the first meeting from the series, hopefully, and I'm very, very happy that you accepted my invitation, Lee. It was great to have you here again, and thank you very much, and probably see you at some time later.
Great. Thank you so much, Gabriela.
Thank you. Bye-bye.